Hello, all, the lovely children out there. I'm going to tell you a story about Marcia and the Russian dolls. And for those who don't know what a Russian doll is, I brought a little prop with me, so I'm going to show you a Russian doll. So this is the biggest doll, and then you get another doll inside of that doll. So and then you get another doll inside of that doll, and then you get it gets quite stiff, another doll inside of that doll. So we got all these separate dolls now, and then last but not least we get like a really titchy doll inside of this one. So these are all my 5 dolls, and for this story I'm going to put them into different parts because it's rather a long story. So I'm going to introduce the characters first. We got Elsa doll, who is 14 years old, and she's the oldest sister out of all of them. So I'm going to put them back down on here. I don't know if you can see them. Oh no, you can't see them on there. And then we got second in line, we've got Andrea, who's 12 years old. And then third in line is Annabelle, 10 years old. And then fourth in line, second to last in other words, is Francesca, who is 7 years old. And then last but not least, actually I don't know if you can see the camera there, see the dolls. I don't think you can actually. I think the dolls are too far away from for you to see. But then we got the little one of all, the littlest, if you can see on the camera, Anastasia. So that's the dolls that we got. Maybe I could find a little prop to maybe stand them up or something. See, if I stand them up on here, I got my little box. I don't know if you can. No, you still won't be able to see them. That's a shame. That we'd have to bring them up quite a long way, and my hand would start aching after a while. So I just show you the whole family to start with. Oh, and Francesca fell down. Excuse me. So here we got the whole family together now. So I'd introduce her again. Elsa, Andrea, Annabelle, Francesca, and Elsa, the small one. Anyway, there's enough of me showing my Russian dolls. Let's get on with the story now. So I'm going to put them aside for now, and this is going to be part 1 of Marcia and the Russian dolls. It was an eventful night in the heart of Holland, as the dark sky and the heavens opened and poured down rain. Lightning bolted across the sky like someone that turned on the light in the dark room. Little Anastasia screamed down the angel-like orphanage, and she screamed the place down, while a little boy Terence, aged 13, mocked her and said, "Oh, shut up, little girl. Fancy being afraid of a little clap of thunder." Anastasia's sister Elsa ran to her younger sister's side and snapped, "Leave her alone. She is only 5 years old." Tom smirked. "Anastasia might be only 5, but your other younger sisters, Francesca, Annabelle and Andrea, are also afraid." The other boys of the orphanage joined in with the laughing and the mocking. The next morning was a warm sunny day, and little Anastasia woke up crying, "Elsa, I have wet the bed." Francesca, who was the second youngest of the 5 sisters, heard her. She went over to her little sister's side and reassured, "It is okay, Anastasia. We will take off your bed sheet and sneak past Mrs. Grit and the boys and take it to the laundry to wash the sheets for you and get you a new dress." So they went quietly to the laundry area, but was unaware of Terence and the group of boys, and they were following them from behind. Terence pointed his finger and mocked. Busted! I know all about Antasia wetting the bed. The two girls screamed, which woke up Elsa, Annabel, and Andrea. They rushed downstairs to witness the boys mocking their little sisters. Annabel, aged 10, got into a temper and filled a bucket up with water and threw it all over the boys. Terence snapped, You stupid girls! No wonder why your dad disowned you and sent you to this orphanage after your mum died. Elsa snapped, Take that back, because our father does want to know us, and once he finds a job that pays well, he is coming back for us. Tommy smirked. No, he's not. Elsa cried. He is too. Terence smirked again. He is never coming back for you. Elsa then pushed Terence to the ground and sat on him and was just about to flat his face when Mrs. Grit turned up on the scene shouting, What on earth is going on here? Tom answered, It is that naughty sisters again. First of all, Antasia wet the bed, Annabel threw water at me, and the other boys, and then Elsa went insane and attacked me. Mrs. Grit snapped, I've had enough of you girls. You can go to the river and fetch water in your buckets as your punishment. Elsa cried, But the river is 2 miles away, and once the buckets are filled with water, they are very heavy for my sisters and I to carry. Besides, it was not all our fault, because Terence and his friends were teasing my sisters. And Mrs. Grit yelled, I don't care, and I don't want to hear about your excuses. Just grab the buckets and get out of my sight. The girls ran off crying, while the boys laughed at them as they went off. Anastasia asked, Elsa, why does Mrs. Grit hate us so much? And why does she always take the boys' sides over ours? Elsa sniffed. Unfortunately, Mrs. Grit does not like girls, but why she don't, I don't understand. After all, she was a girl herself once. Francesca sobbed. Terence is wrong about our father. He will come for us and take us out of that nasty orphanage. Alpha reassured. Of course he will. Our daddy loves us, and I know this in my heart. But for now, although we have no friends, at least we have each other. Annabel said, I wish the orphanage let us go to school. I bet we would make friends and we would have an education. Elsa reassured. Once our daddy gets a good job and we live with him, he will send us to school, you'll see. The sisters skipped together through the riverside to the riverside, although they had no other family member or friends. They were not alone, as they took comfort in each other. When they reached the river's edge, they saw an old lady that reminded them of Mrs. Grit. They looked at each other with naughty smiles on their faces and surrounded this innocent lady. As this old lady had a warm heart that always did good deeds for people, she was not Miss Grit. In fact, she was totally different from her. But the girls took an instant dislike to the old lady, and they started mocking her and pulling rude faces at her. Suddenly the old lady turned into a beautiful fairy godmother. Elsa half smiled, saying, Sorry for teasing you, but you remind us of someone who we hate because she treats us so mean. The godmother replied, I forgive you, but you still have to learn the consequences from your actions. So I am going to turn you into a Russian doll set. The only thing that will break the spell is if you find yourself a best friend. I will set a rainbow constantly in the sky that is only visible to you. If the rainbow fades away before you find a best friend, my curse will remain and you will stay as a set of Russian dolls. But if you make a best friend before the rainbow fades, and then you will turn back into being real girls. With that, the fairy godmother waved her magic wand and they turned into Russian dolls. She made them fall into a boat that was passing by. The man sailing the boat, Colin, could hardly believe his good fortune. He was an owner of a toy shop and he would sell them from his shop. Colin sailed for miles down the river, and the Russian dolls were getting annoyed with each other. As little Anastasia moved, she knocked Francesca. Then in turn Francesca moved and knocked Annabelle on her insides, who in turn did the same to Andrea. Andrea snapped, "Stay still, all of you, as you keep knocking me." The sisters got into an argument. Elsa told them all off. "Little sisters, stop arguing between yourselves. We all need to work together now to get back into being real girls again, rather than arguing over who knocked who." Andrea, being the second oldest sisters, agreed. "Elsa is right. We need to all work together on this." Connor looked around, puzzled. "Who said that?" Elsa then realised that they could still talk and whispered to her younger sisters. "It seems that the fairy godmother gave us the magic to still be able to communicate with humans. But we must not talk in front of humans until the right moment with the right person." Andrea agreed. "You are right, Elsa. So that is our golden rule now." Once Colin got back to his toy shop, he proudly put the Russian dolls on display in the shop window for all to see. A single woman who was a teacher was walking past Colin's shop and instantly found herself interested in the Russian doll set. So she went inside the shop and brought the Russian dolls and took them back to her home. Once she got inside her home, she smiled and put them proudly on her living room shelf and smiled. "Hello, I am Miss Lemondrop. If you were real girls, I bet you would be rather cute." Anastasia burst. "But we are real girls, or at least we were at least." Her sisters all yelled, "Shh! Not the right time to tell yet." Miss Lemondrop looked around and asked, "Who said that?" But she did not see a soul and just shook her head, saying, I must be hearing things." The next morning, a little girl by the name of Marcia came to visit Miss Lemondrop's house after school. Miss Lemondrop was giving her additional lessons and also teaching her to play the piano every weekday afternoons. Marcia was quite a withdrawn child with no friends, but she came from a good home life where her parents were rich and she had a younger brother who she was very close to. That afternoon, as Marcia was playing on the piano, Miss Lemondrops noticed Marcia covered in bruises. Miss Lemondrops gently asked, "What happened to you, sweetheart? Why are you covered in bruises?" Marcia burst into tears and cried, "The boys in my class beat me up. I am being bullied by both girls and boys. I don't understand why." Miss Lemondrop held her close and stroked her hair and said gently, "Sometimes when children don't understand another child, they pick on them because they are different. You may be different, but your uniqueness makes you who you are, a very special little girl. For you are creative and amazing at playing the piano, even though you need help with your school subjects. I will ring your mum and let her know what is happening to you at school, and I will also inform the headmaster to sort out suitable punishment for the boys who bruised you." Marcia wiped the tears from her eyes and sniffed. "Thanks, Miss Lemondrop. You are my favourite teacher." Miss Lemondrop just smiled as there was a knock on her door. She went to open the door. Mrs. McIntyre, Marcia's mum, was standing there, and she came into the hall and said, "Thank you, Miss Lemondrop, for looking after Marcia. You are so wonderful with children." Miss Lemondrop smiled. "I know that I don't have children of my own, but I love all my pupils like they were my own. And I have been blessed in other ways. This house, for example, used to belong to my dad before he passed away, but he handed this lovely home down to me. And I am very happy to see Marcia every day. I have become very fond of her." Mrs. McIntyre walked inside the house smiling. Marcia was playing the most beautiful music on the piano. Miss Lemondrop smiled. "Your daughter may need extra help with schoolwork, and she gets bullied at school, but she has the most extraordinary talent for the piano," Mrs. McIntyre said. "I don't know. However, I thank you that you will sort out the bullying situation at school. as Marcia has become very depressed because of it. Suddenly a bright light flashed past the house, and Marcia banged the piano keys hard and ran off crying into the garden. Miss Lemondrop and Mrs. McIntyre ran after her, asking, "What is the matter, sweetheart?" Mrs. McIntyre explained, "There is something not right with Marcia. I cannot put my hands on it, but she is very withdrawn, goes into the daydreams and finds it impossible to make friends. She is very shy, and that she would not talk to people, and her senses are very exaggerated, and she cannot cope with flashing lights, and certain noises upset and irritate her." Miss Lemondrop smiled. "There is nothing wrong with your daughter. She is very precious. It sounds like Asperger's, but don't worry. It does not mean that something is up with your daughter, but just means that her mind works differently. In fact, people with Asperger's are very gifted, and their sessions and fixated in one thing, and which makes them really good in one area, and she is definitely fixated and gifted with the piano." Marcia ran back inside the house and picked up each Russian doll and smiled at them as she carefully studied each doll. Mrs. McIntyre and Miss Lemondrop followed her and saw her looking at the dolls. Miss Lemondrop smiled. "Beautiful, aren't they?" Marcia smiled and nodded. Anastasia got overexcited and cheered. "Hi, my name is Anastasia." Marcia replied, giggled. "Hi, it is nice to meet you. My name is Marcia." Both Mrs. McIntyre and Miss Lemondrop looked out of the window to see if someone was walking past that Marcia said hello to, even though she was not looking at them, but they saw nobody. Mrs. McIntyre asked, "Darling, who are you saying hello to?" Marcia cheered. "Anastasia, the youngest doll, said hello to me." Mrs. McIntyre explained, "It could not possibly be the Russian doll because they are just dolls and are not real children." She continued as she turned to Miss Honeydrop. "This is a good example on how Marcia likes to daydream, and how her daydreams are so real to her, even more powerful and real to her than real life." Marcia insisted, "But, Mum, she really did speak to me." Mrs. McIntyre replied, "Okay, but we need to go home now and get some dinner." As Marcia left, she looked over to the Russian dolls and smiled and waved bye. Marcia seemed to be in good spirits after her encounter with the dolls, but her mum was still worried about the bullying at her school. The Russian dolls looked out of Miss Honeydrop's window to see the rainbow that nobody else but they could see, and the colour red disappeared from out the rainbow. Andrea asked, "Elsa, why did the colour red disappear from the rainbow?" Elsa paused to think about Andrea's question through thoroughly and answered, "Well, there are 7 colours in a rainbow, and there are also 7 days of the week. Today is the first day that we still don't have a best friend. If another colour disappears from the rainbow tomorrow, that means we only have 7 days to find a best friend." Andrew replied, "That is really unfair, because it takes a lifetime to find a true best friend. So how on earth can we expect the fairy godmother, expect us to make a best friend within just a week?" Elsa thought about it and sighed. "You are right. It indeed usually takes years or at least many months to form a great friendship. However, the fairy godmother thinks that by some magic we will be able to find our best friend in a very short time, in just a matter of days." Annabelle sighed. "I am really worried, to be honest. What if we never find him or her and stay dolls forever?" Elsa reassured, "It does seem impossible, but don't give up hope. We will be okay." And that's where I'm going to end part 1, and I'll see you in part 2.